All right. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday!
And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us from Victoria, BC, right off the coast of Vancouver, Sarah Harmer.
Woo, hello. Thanks for having me.
And we're so happy to have you here on a day off during this big North American tour you have going on. I can't believe we happened to nab you on the one day you didn't have a gig. So
Worked
uh,
out.
we're happy to have you here. And if you just tuned into the Back Catalog Listening Party, this is our weekly musical happy hour where we invite different guest artists to dig into old records and we enjoy a drink, hang out with each other, talk about the music. And it looks like Joe is tuned in from chilly, windy South Minneapolis. I can attest to that. It is sunny, though, as you can
Right.
tell.
Yeah, which is a kind of a gift today on this Friday.
That's right. And Connie from Richfield. And if you just tuned in, tell us where you're tuned in from. If you're imbibing anything or having a snack, let us know. And Tony, what are you enjoying on this chilly Friday afternoon?
Well, I'm going back up to Two Harbors once again
Hmm.
for the Castle Danger cream ale. It's a really delicious
One of my
beer
favorites.
for any weather. Right, so it's sunny, so it's light, but it's also cold, so it has that kind of creamy element. So perfect
Nice.
Friday afternoon
Well,
beverage.
I am drinking some pretty cheap house blend house red wine. I'm not even sure what's in it, but it's doing the job and it's warming me up on this Friday afternoon. Sarah, what are you enjoying anything? I know it's pretty early where you are.
You guys
And
are way ahead of me. I brewed myself some questionable motel room coffee. It's medium roast. I'm more of a dark roast kind of guy, so it's waking me up.
it's doing the
But
job.
I appreciate your examples there. That's in my future.
Well, like I said, my wine, you might be drinking questionable coffee. I'm drinking kind of questionable wine, but whatever. We're really here for the music and for all of you to join in the conversation. It looks like we have folks in Tim from Edmonton and like Whitehorse and Peterborough, Winnipeg. So folks tuned in from all over the place
All
and
right.
all the way and Victoria or near Victoria, and then all the way to Savage, Minnesota.
Yeah,
So
we're coming back. It's great to have all of you here. This is really what it's about, hanging out. So throughout the show, if you have questions for Sarah or just want to say hi to her and comment, just jump in the comments. It's very informal, and we love to hear from you.
Yep. And we're really excited because today we're going to dig into one of my favorite Sarah Harmer records, I'm a Mountain, which came out in 2005. And for folks who maybe aren't as familiar with your music, Sarah, I know there's a bunch of fans who are hopping on here, but for people who might not be as familiar with your music, maybe you can give us a little brief bio about, where you grew up, how you got into music, and maybe where this album came into the mix.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Southern Ontario and North Burlington, so just outside of Toronto, west of Toronto, about an hour or so. And I grew up as the youngest of six kids, so lots of music in my family. We had to go to church, lots of carol sings. My mom's definitely a big like people person, so she would always organize some carol sing or some church something or other. And yeah, I started playing in a band when I was 17 called the Saddle Tramps in Toronto, just singing backup, playing tambourine, and moved to Kingston, which is down Lake Ontario towards Montreal. It's in Eastern Ontario to go to university there, and I started a band in about 92 or 3 called Weeping Tile, and it was kind of like a garage band. My sister played bass. She only picked up the bass maybe once or twice before that. And we made some records and toured Canada. We toured the US a bit. And then I made my first solo record in 2000. The band broke up and I had a lot of like heartbreak songs to put on my own record. And so yeah, put out a record in 2000, and I've been, over the years putting out albums on and off since then. And then
Excellent.
I'm a Mountain. Yeah, I'm a Mountain was one of these records that I didn't really expect to make. I had put out a record in 2004 called All of Our Names, and then I did this tour where we basically hiked and drove some of it, but the Bruce Trail, which is like a footpath walking trail in Southern Ontario, we played all these little community halls and theaters, And when we were had finished, that 2 week tour, we just went into a studio and captured it in 2 days. Just recorded all the songs. And that's
That's
that.
so great. Well, and so yeah, tell us a little bit about that walking tour you did, and like what inspired that.
Yeah, I remember coming up with the idea in on like a wintry January night, holed up in my house, thinking a lot about what I was getting involved in as far as gravel mining, because I grew up, as I said, in North Burlington on a rocky ridge corridor that goes for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. Actually, it kind of peters out around Chicago, so it goes
Hmm.
even around the Great Lakes. It's the Niagara Escarpment, and it's all this beautiful dolostone, limestone, and it sits up over the landscape. It's a big ridge, and that's where my family farm is, and it's also where the gravel mining industry really likes to extract. Oh, there you go. You got a
I,
nice picture
yeah,
there.
I didn't know what if where this was, but I did a quick Google search because I had to look up escarpment as it was a new word for me, and gosh, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. So this is the
Oh,
kind
it's
of what you were hiking around and
Yeah, so there's a 750 or so kilometer footpath called the Bruce Trail that goes from Tobermory down through, and yeah, it's got something like 40% of Ontario's rare and endangered species. It's the headwaters of so many creek and river systems. It's Niagara Falls, emanates
mm-hmm.
off the escarpment. So it's really precious, but it also has rock that's really close to the surface. So the mining industry has really targeted it for, over a century at least. And so that the industry's been really out of control. They totally have their way with provincial policies. And even though there's endangered species and source water and all this good stuff to protect, they tend to um, tend to run the show. So I was getting involved because right where I grew up, there was a new gravel mining quarry proposal. Anyway, so I was sitting at home, middle of winter, thinking about how to protect Mount Nemo, which is one of the outliers on the escarpment. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to like have the hobo stick, with the bag, and your
Yeah.
like few belongings, and do a walking tour. Um,
So
and
you like walked from gig to gig. That was the idea.
we walked every like we didn't walk continually from gig to gig, but we walked sections between every gig, and then we had a van. We used biodiesel. We had like these jugs of bio. It was really fun. We camped. We stayed with friends. We did stuff like went rock climbing. I had a friend who was just like, I'll organize all these like events. So we went rock climbing. Went kayaking. And then, yeah, we played, I think, about 7 shows in community halls and theaters along the way, and we called it the I Love the Escarpment Tour.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Wow, that sounds like such a fun adventure tour. I mean, like, yeah, the music's great, but like going rock climbing and doing all this other stuff.
And if I read the I was trying to read up on this record, so it was right after this. You just got through this adventure. You're all bonding together, and then you just went right into the studio and cut this record.
Yeah, yeah. My friend Patrick was like, "Oh, you guys have to get some like book some studio time. Sounds great." And I had just kind of been learning kind of finger picking guitar style and stuff. So I had a bunch of songs, and yeah, we went into Reaction Studio in Toronto for 2 days, and just did. Everybody was in the same room. I was in like a separate room with glass, just playing guitar and singing. But Spencer Evans was playing piano and clarinet. Joey Wright was on mandolin, Jay Uringer on stand-up bass, Chris Bartosh on fiddle, and Julie Fader was in the control room singing harmonies. And yeah, we just cut everything live off the floor.
Very cool.
Wow. Well, let's dig into this record. I'm so
Yes.
excited to share some of these songs, especially knowing now that these were all recorded live, because I actually did not know that, even though I've been a fan of this record for a long time. So, the first track that you selected to feature from the record is called The Ring. Is there anything you want to say about it before we take a listen?
Yes, I will make one caveat. The Ring was not recorded live before. This one, I had recorded at home, and my friend Dan Curtis plays electric guitar, and so there was one or two that we didn't record live, and The Ring, I remember, was one that I recorded at home.
All right. Well, let's give it a listen. A great way to kick off our Friday. This is Sarah Harmer, The Ring, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Well, you thank me all the time, but now it's my turn. 'Cause truly a word of gratitude so due can't go unheard. And it made me feel better to have you there in my corner. My eyes cast so low, my face could not have been drawn longer. Well, I know you've been impressed. You've seen me at my best. But oh, how it hurts when I can't hide my worst. Well, thank you for carrying on, for playing with me. And this song, it made me feel better. We sat it out like some passing bad weather. Well, my mind was like kid boxing gloves, the kind blown up with air that I put away after play and get limp just lying there. But you knew they'd fill up again, and you gave me your shoulder, and I got up in the ring because I had you there in my corner. And I got up in the ring because I had you there in my corner.
All right, Sarah Harmer with The Ring from her 2005 album I'm a Mountain, which we are revisiting today with Sarah on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And a lot of folks tuning in from all over the place, and so many folks chiming in to say how much they love this record, and including. Who was it? Rob saying, Mountain is your masterpiece. Very cool. It was recorded in 2 days, hot off the tour. Smart move. And yeah, and what is cool is thinking I hadn't really realized that, as you said, this came out what, just a year after All of Our Names.
Yeah, not
So
even. I think it was like the record label didn't expect it. And I was like, oh, I have this new record. I want it to come out. So it came out, yeah, quickly.
yeah, because I remember that album, and that as in fact I was actually I'm sitting right next to your stack of CDs that, and so I found it, and I was like. I was remembering that that album was very much like many of your other albums, kind of more of a kind of like folk pop kind of vibe. So very different from this kind of like laid back acoustic vibe that's on this record. And so it's so cool having them come out so near each other because they couldn't be more different.
True.
Yeah, and you mentioned you were just starting to kind of work on fingerpicking guitar. So did that kind of influence the songwriting on this record? Just like,
Oh,
the new sounds that you were getting?
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I wrote I Am a Glow, and I was listening to more bluegrass stuff for sure. Uh, yeah, yeah. There was a band in Toronto called Heartbreak Hill, and they were just like a young four-piece that, and I knew friends with a couple of them, and they definitely were a band I was listening to a lot of the time.
Very cool.
Yeah. So one thing I was thinking about when I was listening to that song is just like there's a comfort to this whole album, which I think we're going to hear in these other songs too, even though it was recorded live. Sometimes when you have, I know that song wasn't, but sometimes when you've been working with a band for a while and you just come off the road, you have this kind of like endorphins are flowing and you're like, okay, let's do this. And it's almost like too much. You're like, okay, settle down, kids. We're going to like okay, we're going to make a record. We don't need to do it at 100 miles per hour. But, there's a lovely, again, sort of relaxed vibe that is on this record that I was really feeling as I was revisiting this album this week. And I don't know if that had to do with you being out in nature and how that affected the songs. But yeah, there's a real, I don't know, reflection that seems relevant on this record.
Yeah, and everybody on the record, I've been friends with for a long time. Julie Fader, old friends, Joey Wright, Jay Ihrig, there's Spencer Evans, all like some of my best pals. And we had been doing this tour, like just making music and having these really fun experiences. We made a documentary film actually called Escarpment Blues, and I have it. I figured out how to get it off the my DVD, and I put it on YouTube. Pretty not so savvy with the old internet, so I have it on a private link. But I'm going to try to make it. I know I can ask somebody to help me make Escarpment Blues the full. It's like an hour long film that our friend came along and filmed the tour, and put that together.
Oh,
So
how
yeah,
cool is that?
yeah. There's a whole movie. It actually it won a Juno Award for the best musical DVD back in 2006. Oh, more applause. Applause,
That's so cool. Well, when you get that link, definitely let us know because we keep show notes. So for all those people watching now and listening later, you just go to backcataloglisteningparty.com/105 this episode and you can check out that link.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, for sure.
Yeah, very cool. And, one of the cool things is that a bunch of people were saying that this was one of their favorite records. And I don't know if you hear that a lot, but one of the things that several people mentioned was, I hope that you talk about Oleander. Like several people said this. And lucky for us, this was actually one of the songs that Sarah picked. We never tell our guest artist what album or what tracks, but she picked this track. So some of you are going to be really excited that we're going to talk. Yep, see, here we go.
Yeah, I saw more than one comment come through on this tune. So yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to say about Oleander, about when it went into the writing or inspiration for the song?
A couple things. My dad sings on this. He
Oh,
took the train into Toronto. He took the GO train in. He lives, an hour outside of the city. And so he came and sang harmonies on Oleander. So you can hear him. I should have mixed him louder, I think, now. Um, and the song, I wrote it. I had an oleander plant. I didn't know anything about them. I just had a house plant. There was this like Greek diner in Kingston that also sold house plants. So I bought this plant and it looked pretty good, beautiful blossoms. And I just feel like it's one of those songs that's been written a million times before. It's like it's very simple chord pattern. But it was just, yeah, it's just kind of a song of like perseverance and getting through. And I did take the plant on tour with me.
oh nice.
That's
I did this,
amazing.
yeah, I did this Ontario tour where I had this lone, straggly, potted oleander plant on stage. So, and then I have to say though, it finally bit the dust, and I had to compost it in the backwoods.
So it still lives on in different
Yes.
ways.
It
It
may
did.
be
It's just exactly.
feeding the next generation.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned like this idea of, a song that's been written before, but I've come to the conclusion that we need to keep hearing that song. We need every version of it that we can listen to. So I'm excited
Yeah.
that you chose this.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think it's true. You got to kind of continually kind of give yourself license to just kind of reimagine some with the same materials that are, kind of timeless.
And when it seems relevant when we talk about this plant that, as you said, you composted it, but it turned into something else. And I feel like maybe that's what some of these folk songs are, just giving new life to with some new green.
Well said. All right. Well, let's give it a listen. This is Sarah Harmer, Oleander, here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Oleander, oleander, will you bloom again this spring? I adored you, then I ignored you, and now to me you're everything. And those white blossoms that you gave freely are now just twinkles in your eye. Oh, beholder, oleander grows on the inside. She will forgive me, for I bring water, a sunny window to sit by. Oleander, I understand her. She's just waiting for the time to say it's all right. Another season has brought us another chance. We're together in this hot weather to dance. Oleander, I think you're better. I think you made it through another winter. Well, nothing is ended, it's all been mended. It's the way that it should be. You're coming back, you're coming back. It was so lonely here, just me. This time no promises of what's to come. We'll just live it for the day. Oleander, I see you stand there, and I know you'll be okay. Oleander, I think you're better. I think you made it through another winter. Oleander, I think you're better. I think you made it through another winter.
Sarah Harmer with Oleander from her 2005 album I'm a Mountain, and certainly resonating with us here in Minnesota and certainly folks all across Canada. Thank goodness we made it through another winter.
Yeah, and so much more. I don't know. And winter is kind of now, a metaphor for a lot of things we've been going through, and coming out the other end. It feels like a little bit right now, and yeah, it kind of hits you in a different way. So wonderful, wonderful music here from Sarah Harmer.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I really love the piano on that. It has this lovely vibe. And what I was wondering is, you were touring with this band and you're doing this kind of walking tour. Obviously, you couldn't bring an upright piano with you on that
That would
tour.
be something. Yeah.
But I know you had a band too. So was there a piano at these shows? I know you were playing a lot of community halls. Did they have like old uprights in any of
I'm
these
trying to
spaces?
remember because Spencer also plays clarinet, so I remember that was his like traveling go-to. He's kind
Nice.
of like the Pied Piper of um and yeah, we would have had like a little keyboard probably in the van,
Hmm.
and pulling it out at shows. He did the first half of the tour, and then he could only do the first like maybe 4 or 5 shows, and then Joey Wright joined us, and he was playing mandolin, so he kind of took over halfway
Nice.
through.
So you had those little tinkles being done by different strings.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, lovely, lovely stuff. And I do want to. This is a good time to mention to folks who are tuned in on YouTube, or maybe maybe you're just listening while you're making dinner or getting on with your Friday, that it sounds even better on our end if you're not listening it go through all the different tubes.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
the
and
YouTubes.
yeah, so if you like what you hear, you definitely want to get a copy. She has it on vinyl, CD, and of course you can get the high-res digital files. But highly recommended because the quality of this is just lovely, and it has this intimacy
Beautiful
to it.
recording. Yeah. And that organicness that you talked about earlier. I mean, you can really hear it. You can hear almost the space in the room. There's something that I notice when when you can almost tell sometimes when a recording is done live, because you can hear
Mhm.
like the different frequencies kind of intermingling, a little bit of
Yeah.
this instrument and that instrument. And it just sounds so good. And that's the kind of nuance you really pick up when you're listening to the high resolution wave files or the vinyl. So I'll second Ellen's recommendation. You should pick it up. And for those of you that want to support Sarah, just know that like purchasing an album, it's like 5 years of Spotify streams or something like that. So it goes a long way to also show your support.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say we made the record on 2 inch. We recorded it onto 2 inch tape,
Oh,
and you can hear that the fidelity, and yeah, so you can hear air, you can hear the room, you can hear that stuff is tactile, and it increases the quality for sure.
Maybe we're hearing those plants grow, like in real time.
well, that's interesting because we've been listening to a lot of records in the last couple of years, but not a lot of them most of them I think have been digital, right? That's like going back to the analog. There really is another kind of organic feeling that you get from tape, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to be listening more for that.
And can I interject briefly? When I was just in Minneapolis playing at the Cedar Cultural Center, you guys have an analog desk, an analog board at the venue, and you just don't come across those anymore. And my sound man was like, "Oh, hallelujah!" Like he had not heard that range of sound for a long, long time. So it's real. Like analog is, it's a whole wider spectrum of experience.
And
Amen.
as someone who was at that show, I can say, yeah, you can hear it, and that's all thanks to Chris Freimeyer, the head sound guy there at the Cedar. Does
Yeah,
such a
shout
great
out to
job.
the Cedar Cultural Center. If you're ever in Minneapolis and you want to see a show, it's the best venue for these kind of acoustic shows, and that's a great example of why.
For sure. And again, this album is available on vinyl, and some of those images we were seeing earlier are in the vinyl version, right? So you
Yeah.
get some great artwork in there as well. And actually, well, speaking of artwork, I want to ask you about this cover, this lovely drawing.
Yeah.
Is this who did this? Is this you?
No, this is my dear friend Stu Jones. He did the illustration. He did all the drawing on the back of the album. This is Mount Nemo. So the place I was talking about, that was his portrait of Mount Nemo, which is
nice.
in Burlington, Ontario. And yeah, Stuart Jones, check him out. He's a wonderful painter and a dear friend. And he came out on some of the tour as well.
Nice.
Here, and there's this other image here that she shared with us. That's really cool little drawing. I wanted to make sure everybody got to see too.
Oh yeah, that's Stu as well. That's me at the board
behind the analog board, right?
Calling the shots. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, it's great. Wonderful stuff. Well, that's what you can get when you, in addition to, of course, all the great music, if you get that on vinyl. So we do want to mention to folks who are tuned into the show, again, if you have questions or comments about these songs, feel free to keep throwing them in there. We'll get to as many questions as we can before the end of today's show, but we do want to get to as much music as we can. And the next track, Sarah, you picked to feature is Going Out. Is there anything you want to say about this?
This is the other of the two songs that we didn't do live off the floor. I recorded this at my house. I wrote this song for an AIDS vigil many years ago in Kingston, Ontario. And Going Out. It's kind of a song also about the cyclical nature of life and regeneration.
Excellent. Well, let's give it a listen here. And Stephanie said that it's one of her faves. So we're going to give it a listen here. Sarah Harmer, Going Out on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
the days close on the memories that you've acquired, and your body cannot hold your soul inspired. You are here and not alone. Everybody has come home. There's a bed made up upstairs if you get tired. All the heaviness around you will get light. And your worry lifted up into the night, left with nothing but pure love, left with all you are made of. Can I stay around a while? Is that alright? Oh, lives don't end. We're going out to be brought back again. Oh, our lives don't end. When the days close on the memories that you've acquired, and your body cannot hold your soul inspired, you are here and not alone. Everybody has come home. There's a bed made up upstairs if you get tired. Oh, lives don't end. We're going out to be brought back again. Oh, our lives don't end. Oh, lives don't end. We're going out to be brought back again. Oh, our lives don't end.
Sarah Harmer going out from her album I'm a Mountain, which we are revisiting today on the back catalog listening party. And yeah, that song, it's been so long since I just sat and listened to that song without doing something else. And that's what I treasure about doing this show every week is just getting to listen to music and watch people's reactions on their comments. And I echo what a lot of people are saying about it sort of giving comfort. But and one thing I was thinking about as we've been listening to these songs is that there seems to be a lot of sort of loss on this record, but also some like hope and comfort to it as well. And I don't know if that has something to do with spending so much time outside and thinking about
The natural cycle of things,
yeah,
perhaps.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of just like bracing myself for some of the inevitable, loss. Because I mean, I have definitely lost people, and but like I say, I wrote that for an AIDS vigil in Kingston years ago, and so I kind of was like, what am I going to be? What do I want to say? How do I want to be there for that moment? And my dad actually sings on that one too. He's in the background
I
there.
heard it that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got such a warm, smoky voice. And I noticed someone had said that they wanted this song played at their funeral. And my dad has said that to me. He's like, I want, and he just turned 93 last week.
Oh,
So
amazing.
Wow.
I hope we got a bunch more time. I don't really want to do that, but he's like, I want you to sing that at my funeral. So we'll
Well,
see. But
it,
yeah, I'm glad it brings comfort. I don't know where it just those songs just kind of come out of somewhere, and it's me trying to figure it out as much as anything.
Hmm. It's funny that echoes something that Chris Smither said last week when he was a guest on the show. He was talking about songwriting and sort of the mystery of it, and he says he often learns as much from his own songs as the other way around. I think sometimes people assume that you have some answer when you're writing a song, but I think often the song is the question.
mhm.
And um,
I think so too.
but we have a question for Sarah. If she had to give advice to her younger self, the one who wrote these songs and toured the album, what would she say?
Oh, I've been asked that before, and uh, I mean, I almost think my younger self should give me advice right now.
Maybe she
I,
is.
um, yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like I you know, I mean, I'm definitely more like at peace in my life right now than I have been over the years, and sometime at some points, and sometimes that kind of aggravation and like confusion and this tough stuff is good for unearthing um, questions and ideas. So I don't really know. I think most important, my niece, Georgia Harmer, is just about to put out a record next week. Actually, she's 22, and she has a wonderful new record called "Stay in Touch." So check out Georgia Harmer. I don't know why that made me just jump to say that, but
Younger
yeah.
self.
Yeah.
Hey, what's
Oh,
that?
youth. I was just thinking we were talking about our, younger self and youth, and she
Yeah,
seems like she's in a different place, in that way.
yeah, and I would say to her, like, just kind of, you know, collaboration is sometimes hard for me because I get a very fixed idea of what I want, and I think there's a good balance between like believing in your own vision and trusting it and being confident in it, but also being not afraid to ask questions and to be more open because I think sometimes I could just kind of close myself off a little bit to collaboration. So I think my younger self, I would say, just stay a bit more open and vulnerable to collaborations.
Mm.
Great
Well,
advice.
I will say this album is just a lovely collaboration, as you said, with some friends and people you've been playing with for a long time. One thing I was noticing on that, of course, Tony and I were excited to hear the banjo on that.
Yeah, the banjo pops in, and our ears perk
Yeah,
up here on
exactly.
the
You're
show.
surrounded by banjo players. But what I loved is again sort of there was a warmth to it with that kind of interplay with the electric guitar that you don't hear often enough, and it's such a great combination. And I don't know, did you have a banjo on tour as part of that tour? I know that wasn't one of the songs you recorded right afterwards, but
No, we didn't. We didn't have a banjo on tour. That banjo was played by Marty Kinnick, and I played the lead guitar on that. And we recorded that at my house, and we just took a while. I just plugged in direct. I had this old Epiphone, 1949 Epiphone, that I just went direct in. It's the pickups sounded so nice, and yeah, we just had like an interplay between the two.
I love it. It's like it's like the idea of like an old timey jam, but with like an electric an electric epiphone and the banjo. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
no, yeah, I love the just there's a lot of space though between the notes, and just yeah, it's very nice. And I just wanted to point out, it looks like the artist here is chiming in
Oh,
about the
there's
artwork.
Sue. I drew that cover on my back deck with Sarah while she did a phone interview. I think it was due that day. I always call him last minute.
Oh, that's great. Well, good job. Such a
Thanks,
beautiful
Hubert.
cover.
That's what I like about this show, right? We
You
get
never know who will
we get
pop
to
in.
people together. I love it.
Awesome.
Thanks for chiming in about that.
Yeah, and a lot of the folks chiming in today, in addition to saying how much they love this record and how much it's meant to them, is folks are saying how excited they are to see you on tour or that they recently see you on tour. And as someone again who's just saw this version of the tour with the band that you have, Sarah, it's such a great tour, and you do bring in some of these older songs. So if folks want to check out your tour, which is happening, you still have like a month left all over North America. You can go to sarahharmer.com to check out those tour dates and pick up some of that vinyl because I'm sure she'd love to get rid of some of that while she's on tour.
I am packing a lot of vinyl right now, so please, yes, lighten the load.
Yeah, but if you can't go to see her, I did notice on her website that she's kind of pausing the store on her website for online purchases. But you can go to that other
To the
link
record label.
that we put out there. It's the record label shop.arts-crafts.ca. You can find her and all her stuff there. So if you're not lucky enough to see her live, definitely go and grab it there.
For sure. And this next song, I'm excited that you chose this one because this is actually one that you did do when I saw you in Minneapolis recently, and Escarpment Blues. And obviously, we were talking about the escarpment at the top of the show, but is there anything else you want to say about this song?
Well, yeah, gravel mining is still wreaking havoc on the escarpment. We won this fight to protect Mount Nemo in 2012. We went through a huge hearing for 15 months and listened to all the experts and cross examination and all this, and the province dismissed Lafarge Wholesome's proposal. And then in 2019, so the ink was barely dry on their no decision, they came back and said, "Oh, we want to try again."
Ah,
And so they've mounted another application to try to blast and scalp the top of Mount Nemo. So we started a coalition, a whole bunch of community groups in Ontario. So we've got a new coalition called the Reform Gravel Mining Coalition. So you can go to reformgravelmining.ca and learn all about how the gravel mining industry is out of control in Ontario and why precious source water and species, forests and wetlands are at risk, and how we need to manage the industry better. And so I wrote this song to kind of encapsulate the tale of what was going on, on Mount Nemo. And Nemo means nobody in Latin, and I always like that. I think it really belongs to nobody, which means I think it belongs to everybody. So it's a UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve. Like it's internationally recognized for its ecological importance. So Escarpment Blues, still a blues song, but hopefully I won't have to keep singing it.
that's our hope as well. Let's give it a listen right now. This is Sarah Harmer, Escarpment Blues here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
If they blow a hole in my backyard, everyone is gonna run away, and the creeks won't flow to the great lake below. Will the water in the well still be okay? If they blow a hole in the backbone, the one that runs across the muscles of the land, well, we might get a load of stone for the road, but I don't know how much longer we can stand. We'll need to build some new apartments, and I know we're gonna have to fix the road. creeks won't flow to the great lake below, will the water in the well still be okay? We'll keep driving on the blind line. If we don't know where we want to go, even knowledge that sound can get watered down. Truth can get sucked out the car window. Truth can get sucked out the car window. We're 2/3 water. What do we really need? The sun, shower, soil, and sea. We're 2/3 water. The aquifers provide. Deep down in the rock, there's a pearl inside. If they blow a hole in the backbone, the one that runs across the muscles of the land, well, we might get a load, a stone for the road, but I don't know how much longer we can stand. Well, we might get a load of stone for the road, but I don't know how much longer we can stand.
All right, Escarpment Blues, one of the better protest songs in my book. Sarah Harmer from her 2005 album I'm a Mountain, which we are revisiting today on the back catalog listening party. And actually, Tim was mentioning that he actually wrote a paper on this in university, which is very cool. I'd love to read your paper, Tim.
Yeah.
Not many people say that about their old college papers, but I'd be curious. So it's wonderful to hear that, and I am sorry that it's still relevant. That's always the thing about protest music, is you kind of hope it's like this timely flash in a pan song that you won't have to keep singing, and then there are these songs that we've been singing for 100 years that you're like, why are we still having to sing these songs?
Because the lawyers at these giant corporations keep coming back and trying again. And Sarah, when you mentioned that, it made me think of Minnesota. We have also some really amazing natural resources here. I'm thinking about the Boundary Waters in particular, up near the Canadian border, and the issues with mining here. We're going through that same thing. It seems like every year we're trying to protect this stuff. So I'm so glad that we could highlight this, and I'm really excited to check out the work that you're doing on that website. We put it in the comments, and I'm excited about this. Also about this DVD or this movie that you put out too, because I think sometimes those kinds of visuals help people see what it is we're fighting for. It's really important. So we'll make sure to put links to both of those things in the show notes. If you're just listening, go to backcataloglisteningparty.com for the show notes on this episode.
And we did get a request. We always pick out these songs in advance, or our guest artist does. And but every once in a while, we are lucky in that something that one of you requests is something that was already part of the plan. So Jessica, this is just for you. How Deep in the Valley? And we have time for this one last one. And is there anything you want to say about this, Sarah?
Thanks, Jessica. Willie P. Bennett, the late, great performer, plays harmonica on this one. He came into the studio. I just wrote this one as kind of same like as a hymn that I felt like was not covering any new ground, but it was just kind of a belt or something I just wanted to like get out of my system, and so it's a bit of a spiritual, yeah. And Willie P, he
So good.
yeah, wonderful.
All right. Well, let's give it a listen. This is How Deep in the Valley from Sarah Harmer here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
How deep in the valley must you go to find what your footsteps already know? The way on is the way out. There are signs to follow. There is deep in the valley, and I'm bound to go. How deep in the valley must you stay to know why your footsteps led you that way? Let the deep of the valley fill you with grace, and treat yourself lightly, treat yourself kind. You've got nothing to worry on. You will be fine. Place laughing, and somebody will cry. There is deep in the valley, wonder not why, wonder not why, go and wonder not to stay. If it takes me and I follow, or if I lead the way, it can come when it wants to, but it might have to wait. There is deep in the valley, I don't hesitate. I don't take it too lightly, but it don't weigh down too low. There is high on the cliff top, and there's deep creeks below. There's a green shade you can't miss, where the spring water flows. There is deep in the valley, and I'm bound to go. How deep in the valley must you go I'm bound to go.
Sarah Harmer, How Deep in the Valley from her 2005 album I'm a Mountain. I don't know about you all, but I needed that song today. It's like the perfect way to
Mm-hmm.
detox from a work week and enter my weekend with that kind of vibe. And I have to say, a lot of folks in the comments saying about how they were harmonizing in their homes, and that's the beauty of the back catalog is like you could be dancing or singing and we're only feeling the vibes, So it doesn't matter how off key you are. The important thing is the music is moving you, and it certainly moved me.
Me too. And I saw Jessica's 3-year-old said, "Oh, Mama, what a beautiful little song."
Oh.
That is fantastic to hear. And I just want to thank all of you out there in the comments. We started this show because we were all isolated from each other during the pandemic, and we needed to connect. And music can do that like nothing else. And this community here, Sarah, that you have put together is a very active community, and it's so special to see that. And I wanted to make sure I said a special thank you to all of you who showed up here today, and lifted up this music and told us what it meant to you. It just changes, everything for those of us who are new to this music. Like I'm hearing it in a very different way. And so, anyways, thank you all for being here. But most of all, thank you, Sarah Harmer, for spending an hour with us today.
And we're so lucky that this happened to coincide with one of your few days off on this pretty busy tour. So thank you.
Oh, thank you guys so much. And yeah, thanks to everybody out there who's like giving it back this way. I appreciate it. And thanks for asking me to revisit this time. I really enjoyed myself.
Well,
Well,
oh,
yeah, I wish we had another hour. That's all I'm
I
going to
know.
say.
Exactly. And I was going to say that I know Sarah was like, oh, too bad we can't play another song like I'm a Mountain or I'm a Glow, because there are some, more up-tempo band songs on the record. And if you're not familiar with this record, again, buy it because all the tracks are fantastic. But I have to say, I really enjoyed kind of taking my time with these songs today. And so to me, it felt just perfect. So, again, you might want to pick up that record. You can check out Sarah Harmer on tour, sarahharmer.com. And if you like the episode, like it on YouTube, give it the thumbs up. And more bots will be directed to Sarah Harmer's music. And also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel because we do this every Friday. Not with Sarah, unfortunately, every Friday, but we have different guest artists on every week to revisit old records. And we have some great stuff coming up. So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we especially want to thank our Patreon folks. These are the people that supported the show. Again, we thought we'd do this for a couple weeks when things shut down in March of 2020. Oh, innocent times. And
Yes.
we just kept doing it, and people liked it and said, yeah, keep doing it. So we do, because these folks support it. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, and John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Court, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead, Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Craig, Jake, Mary, and many tracks, and maybe you. If you want to support it, you can do that. We have some special things for our Patreon folks, including some after parties with guests and some live stream concerts. We have some cool ones coming up, so you can find out about it there. But mainly, thank you for being here. This is what it's all about: enjoying music together, talking about it.
It did it again. I feel so much better now.
I feel lighter.
Power of music, Sarah. What a beautiful record. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you were here today and to share
Thanks,
that with us.
Anthony. Thanks so much, Mother Banjo. It's good to
Uh,
hang out with you guys.
Yes, and hopefully we'll see you back here soon. And for all of you, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back next week for another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party. In the meantime, enjoy the music, folks.
Cheers.
Cheers.